So friends, for today's video, we're going to be getting into our May fantasy book releases, some announcements and headlines, and then at the end, we'll be getting into our features of the month. As always, there'll be timestamps down below in case you'd like to skip ahead to any one specific section or reference back to it. All relevant links, of which I'm sure there will be a lot of, as is the case with a lot of these videos, will be in a pinned comment. But on that note, let's go ahead and jump into some of the books that are coming out this May. We'll go ahead and start with some of the projected release dates for sequels that are coming out in May, and then from there, we'll transition to books that are first in series or standalones. But kicking things off, we actually are going to start with a sci-fi book. I know I said primarily this will be fantasy releases, but there is a lot of overlap, one, between science fiction and fantasy, and especially with this series, which would be the Murderbot Diaries. So there's a new entry scheduled for the very beginning of May, probably right around when this video is going to be going up, and that would be Platform Decay. Have a new Dresden Files novella for those of you who are Dresden Files fans, and this one is called Outlaw, A Tapestry of Fate. This is the sequel to the adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. For a lot of us, we have been waiting quite a while. Originally, this one was announced to be released within 2025, and then the further into 2025 we were getting, the more a lot of us are like, is this coming out? It doesn't seem like it. And then it got pushed back to 2026. Originally, it was like, oh man, we gotta wait all the way until May for this, and then May is already here. So, A Tapestry of Fate, finally, if you, like me, have been waiting for the sequel for quite a while. Not only is it finally almost here, but this seems like such a great one for the summer. If you've never checked out Amina al-Sarafi, this is a great time to pick it up, especially because, of course, the sequel is going to be coming out as well. And then for those of you who are Dungeon Crawler Carl fans, we have a Parade of Horribles, also projected for May 12th. But now, rewinding and starting with some of our first in series or standalones that are projected for this month. Kicking things off with one I know a lot of you are going to be really pumped about, and by the time this video goes up, this will have actually just been released. Last Contract of Isako. It says, where corporate samurai fight beneath merciless stars and death is always a mere breath away. I personally don't want to see anything else about this. I don't want to hear anything else about this. That's enough for me. I've said in the past that I tried Jade City, and even though on paper it was everything I was looking for, it unfortunately just didn't quite click. But I did actually really like another work of hers that I think is a little bit under the radar and not talked about as much. I like her writing. I like her ideas. I think she's got a lot of creativity, and she takes sort of different genres and blends them together in a way that pushes the overall genre forward. And this seems like it's a perfect example of that. I'm really excited about this one. Fingers crossed it ends up living up to the expectations I know a lot of us are inevitably putting upon it. We have the Grimoire edition of Witch Hat Atelier that's going to be released. We will be getting quite a few Grimoire editions of this series. It is a manga series, but I wanted to include it here because it is absolutely such a fantastic fantasy story. The world building is on par with any of the greats that you can think of. It is phenomenal. The magic system is incredible. The characters are so alive, and then because it's a manga on top of all of that, it has some of the most gorgeous art and really well constructed themes. When you first start it, it feels like this is just a cozy and very cute story, but it is not necessarily those things. Yes, there are cozy components. Yes, there are heartwarming components. It does not only maintain those labels. It speaks to a lot of some of the most prominent, difficult things about our own society. It has some of the most absolutely heartbreaking things to reckon with. It has a lot of fantastic mysteries within it. As you're reading it the first time, you will be floored when you do get certain reveals, the amount of things you did not pick up on or notice on your first read through. And then as you go back, you start to realize how much foreshadowing occurred over the course of the entire story, how much was right there in front of you. Anyway, this is not me trying to sell you on Witch Hat Atelier, which is kind of my MO, it feels, at this point for every one of these videos. But the Grimoire edition is coming out on May 5th, and it looks stunning, and I can't wait. From there, we have The Girl with a Thousand Faces. This is a gothic fantasy novel set in World War II era Hong Kong, following Mercy Chan, a woman with amnesia who works as a, quote, ghost talker in Kowloon Walled City, dealing with the vengeful spirits while confronting her own forgotten past and a powerful, malevolent ghost connected to her identity. Next up, we have The Bone Door, and I never actually read Voyage of the Damned by this author. It looks to be its own standalone, though the cover itself almost looks as though it was meant to be part of that series or meant to be a sequel of some sort, but this, it seems, is its own standalone story. How far will you go to open the bone door? When Hop awakens in an ancient labyrinth, he has no memory of his life or how he got there. He does not recognize the mysterious girl trapped with him, and he certainly cannot identify the shadowy figure stalking him, whispering terrible things. But there is one thing he is certain of. He must escape. The only way out of the labyrinth is through the bone door, but it lies behind a series of locked doors hidden across an array of strange realms. To open the way, Hop must complete impossible tasks before his time runs out. As he travels deeper into the maze, he discovers that he and his companions may be more connected to the place and its horrors than he could ever imagine. Unless Hop is able to unravel the true mystery of the labyrinth and his own role within it, the bone door and any hope of escape will be lost forever. I feel like that's a great synopsis because I don't know very much about the book based off that synopsis, and that's kind of how I want it. My interest is piqued. You gave me just enough for me to go, huh, okay, but also not really know anything about the plot. It's mysterious, it's compelling, and I will be keeping my eye on it because that sounds like something that I might enjoy. Next up, we have We Dance Upon Demons. I have read 2 other books by this author. There's one that came out that I had wanted to read. I never got a chance to it, but I think it's titled The 10 Incarnations of Rebellion. That's the one I haven't read. I have read KKI and Goddess of the River, but We Dance Upon Demons is a contemporary fantasy novel. It follows Nisha, a burnt-out reproductive health care worker in Chicago who gains mysterious powers after touching a statue at an art museum, forcing her to confront both real-world threats to her clinic and supernatural forces connected to her new abilities, drawing on Hindu mythology. From there, we have Palaces of the Crow. This one is a speculative historical novel by Ray Naylor about 4 young refugees, a Jewish girl, a Polish deserter, a Roma horse trader, and a non-speaking boy who survive World War II in the Lithuanian woods with the help of a flock of highly intelligent crows. So that one also seems like it's going to be pretty heavy. And then we also have The Midnight Train. This is by a very, very well-known author. I haven't read any of their works, but there are a lot of people that really, really greatly enjoy this author's work. And this one is about an 81-year-old man named Wilbur who gets a chance to revisit his life on a magical train after he dies, allowing him to relive key moments, especially with his lost love, Maggie, and confront his regrets. That sounds like a book that will be very good that I would absolutely hate. I don't know what it is. I've never been a fan of books that are looking at what happens after you die. That's why I didn't really like Under the Whispering Door, among other things. I don't know what it is. Those kinds of stories, I know they definitely work for a lot of people. They resonate with a lot of people. I do not like them, but I still wanted to mention it because I'm sure it's going to be a very good book and that it will really connect with a lot of you. Last for today, though, we have The Rain Shadow Orphans, the first in a fantasy trilogy. It says life is hard for the inhabitants of Rain Shadow City, a place where poverty and corruption are rife and where they are terrorized by an underground criminal organization known as the Lucky Crows. Toshiko, Jun, and Mei Kawakami are a family, bonded through loyalty if not blood, who live outside the increasingly corrupt law and who are seeking revenge for the murder of their beloved aunt, Reiko, by the Lucky Crows. Haru is the son of the emperor, destined to one day rule and uphold his mother's ignoble legacy, but he is more interested in making friends with the magical sun spirits it seems only he can see. Theo, forced to leave his homeland, is a reluctant foot soldier for the Lucky Crows. He doesn't want to be a gangster, but as an illegal immigrant to the city, his choices are severely limited. When Toshiko steals a dragon pearl from the leader of the Crows, it sets them all on a thrilling path which will determine the future of Rain Shadow City. As noted, all of these will have pre-order links in the pinned comment, as well as the projected release dates. If anything changes, I'll have that updated in the pinned comment, but I want that to be there for you in case you'd like to reference back to it. All that said, let's go ahead and segue to some recent book and just in general fantasy announcements. One of them that I know a lot of you are going to be exceptionally excited about is that there is a character from Baldur's Gate who is getting their own book, and that book is going to be written by T. Kingfisher. I have been meaning to play Baldur's Gate for a very long time, and this seems like the final push. I have friends that like this game. I'm a huge fan of RPGs. I have been meaning to get to it for a really long time. This seems like the perfect time to get into it. And then I can finally also have a tie-in with this book, and it's written by T. Kingfisher. It feels like all the stars are aligning. I know a lot of people are really excited about this, and I haven't even checked the story out. I don't know this character. I just know they're very iconic to this game. Speaking of things to do with video games, we also have gotten some news that it would seem the Elden Ring movie adaptation is going to be scheduled for release in 2028. I have some concerns about the adaptation for Elden Ring because I think that the video game is great. I do not think it's going to translate well to a film, especially not a live action film. And from what I can tell, they're trying to adapt the actual moments of what happens in the game and not any of the lore. I think if they had gone in the direction of adapting maybe some pieces of the lore, that could have worked. But the game, like itself, what's happening in the game, I don't know. We'll see. I know that the director, Alex Garland, has a lot of passion for this, and that it would seem they essentially begged for the opportunity to make this adaptation. And of course, that's what anybody who's a fan of anything could ask for in an adaptation. I'm still just so worried about this. I just don't know if it seems like this is the best medium for an adaptation. I think maybe a mini-series, maybe multiple seasons of a show, that maybe I'd have a little more faith in. I'm just very hesitant at the idea of a film for the events of what transpires within that game. But I hope I'm proven extremely, extremely wrong. I'm actually very curious for those of you who are Elden Ring fans. What are your thoughts currently with the information we have about the adaptation?
Now getting around to what is likely the absolute biggest news for a lot of you, which is that the Broken Binding has announced that they will be doing special editions of the Wheel of Time series. Even as somebody who isn't a diehard Wheel of Time fan, even I'm excited because I know this is a beloved series. I even have thought that these don't get the same special edition treatment that so many other works have gotten. And when they do get reprints, sometimes they're a little underwhelming. And for those of you who are really big fans of the series, but additionally who are big fans of artistic expression and the fact that a lot of special editions do allow for artists to have more opportunities, Wheel of Time, it's like, it's right there. There's 14 books. It's a huge fan base. What great opportunities for a lot of artists. And also, of course, for those of you who would like to have that as part of your library, it's great news. It's fantastic. So some additional details about this that they have announced currently. Some of the specs you'll be getting would be a foiled signature page, new cover art, PLC boards, digital edges, illustrated end papers, full color interior illustrations, full color fold out map, black and white chapter headers, sewn binding, acid-free paper, ribbon bookmark, head and tail bands, royal hardbacks. So there's a lot of information. They have said that they will be announcing their team of artists and others who are working on it soon. So that's not been announced just yet, but already just the fact that it exists or is in the process of being made and then all that other stuff, I can only imagine how exciting this is for so many of you. Now moving on to our features. So we have an Underhyde book rec, a good cause, as well as an artist shout out. For the artist, I wanted to mention Tom Field. This artist has some of the most adorable art I've ever seen. It's so charming, it's so whimsical and cute. It's just genuinely some of the most precious art I've ever seen. And they do have an Etsy shop. I honestly, for myself, could see myself getting one of their prints, but I also could see if you have kids, getting a few of the prints and putting them in like their room or their bathroom or something, like one of in their space, somewhere in their space, just because they are so whimsical and cute. And I might have to. I don't know where I'm going to put it in my home because in my office, I already have a whole wall of art prints. Then also in this room, which is mostly bookshelves, I have some Studio Ghibli stuff somewhere. Maybe I can get like a little frame and put it somewhere in a cute little cozy corner or something. I don't know. It's really darling and I thought I would share, and hopefully some of you can find some joy in this art as well. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I wanted to mention for our good cause, Mental Health America. Of course, mental health is something that is going to reach everyone, so it's important no matter where you live to look into resources for yourself or those in your community or people you know personally who might need it. But Mental Health America does provide a lot of resources. You can donate to them so that people are able to get the help that they need, or at least have more accessibility to what they might be looking for that can help them. I'll have this organization linked. If you are looking for resources or if you are looking to donate, you can find that in the link for that. Besides just being Mental Health Awareness Month, it is also Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I wanted to tie this in with the underhyped book rec for this particular video, and that book would be Dragon Fruit. In the old tales, it is written that the egg of a sea dragon, dragon fruit, holds within it the power to undo a person's greatest sorrow, an unwanted marriage, a painful illness, and unpaid debt gone. But as with all things that promise the moon and the stars and offer hope when hope has gone, the tale comes with a warning. Every wish demands a price. This is a young adult standalone story, but I actually think it transcends its age range quite well in that there's a lot to do with the lore and the general mythology within this that I think can be enjoyed by people of all ages. The writing itself is quite beautiful, and it unfolds like you're like a tale, like you're being told this story. It just has that feel to it of something being passed along. And then also just in general, the imagery that it evokes within it, I thought was really, really beautifully done. It is, as noted, a standalone. So if you are looking for something to maybe have as a break between some of the bigger series or the more massive fantasy epics, those sorts of things, this would be a great one to fit into your TBR. That's it though for some releases of the month, some features, and some announcements. If there's anything else you'd like to mention, feel free to do so in the comments. I'll have a pinned comment myself with information for all this in case you'd like to reference back to it, and then also pre-order links or just links in general that are relevant. Thanks so much as always though for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.